Thursday, September 27, and this is InfoHub. Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge has urged United Nations member states to ratify the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. Minister Greenidge was addressing a high-level meeting to commemorate and promote the International Day for the Total Elimination of Nuclear Weapons. Tiffany Rodias has our first report.
At Wednesday's meeting, Minister Carl Greenidge urged UN members to ratify the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons.
We urge member states to ratify the treaty to ensure its early entry into force, thereby strengthening the international norms and standards regarding the total elimination of nuclear weapons.
The historic treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons was introduced last September. Guyana is a non-nuclear state, but was the first to sign and ratify the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons.
Our decision to both sign and ratify the treaty was rooted in our firm conviction that the total elimination of nuclear weapons is dependent not just on our words, but more importantly on our actions in fulfillment of our common obligation to work for the maintenance of international peace and security.
International Day for the Total Elimination of Nuclear Weapons is observed on September 26. UN member states are meeting in New York this week for the 73rd United Nations General Assembly. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
The Prime Minister's office, in partnership with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, today released their joint report on the review of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic in relation to the rights of the children. Here are the details.
Guyana has initiated a process of constitutional reform, and the Office of the Prime Minister, OPM, has acknowledged the importance of ensuring children's rights are well integrated and in some cases made clearer. Prime Minister Nagamutu expressed optimism it will become a base document to be shared with the constitutional commissioners.
Here are some recommendations and some analysis that had gone before those recommendations are made into how children's rights are looked at around the world. I've seen you have looked at other models and included those experiences so that we stay within a universal framework.
UNICEF's permanent representative, Sylvie Foy, said Guyana is on good grounding with just the enhancement of a few elements needed.
Just to thank you, because I think the leadership in what you bring, and we have been in different meetings on how important to embrace and look at our youngest as potentials and fulfill their potentials, development and thrive. It's something you have close to your heart, and I know literacy and other education are key important things. So really thank you and for the space, for the leadership, and for your team for the hard work. And I will use a slogan. There's a new campaign globally on youth agenda, and they say, the youngest are saying, it's not tomorrow, this is our turn, yes, our time for the future.
The OPM and UNICEF have committed to further collaborations, following up on the report's findings and encouraging its use during stakeholder consultations. This is to ensure that children's and youth voices can be fully heard and reflected in the Constitution. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
The Office of the Prime Minister also today handed over $5 million to the University of Guyana as funding for constitutional reform education. Stacey Carmichael has more.
The Constitutional Reform Education Project is a collaboration among the Office of the Prime Minister, OPM, the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the University of Guyana, UG. Prime Minister Nagamutu explained that constitutional reform is not for sloganeering, nor should it be used as an electioneering platform. He pointed to the University of Guyana's role in making the Constitution more relatable for the wider public.
What I see happening is an attempt by politicians, when it is convenient to politicians or different sets of politicians, to talk about constitutional reform outside of the context of what it means for the ordinary person, whether or not the ordinary person understands the Constitution and perhaps believes in the constitutional framework as a guarantor of the rights of the society, their rights from top to bottom, and not to selectively look at a part because it's election season.
politics, the elder statesman noted, is often used as a purveyor of divisiveness rather than fostering unity, even in the case of constitutional reform, which should be seen as a good for the society. The OPM and UNDP have been working on the project document for some time, and UG has been included at this juncture as education is part of its remit. UNDP resident representative Mikiko Tanaka said after the 2016 mission, it was determined that consensus across political parties and public education were the two pillars of constitutional reform.
Any discussion around reforming would require, that understanding of what is in the Constitution now and what is lacking or what needs to be, changed.
UG Vice-Chancellor Professor Ivelaw Griffith is pleased with the university's role in the process.
It's a journey that is not a sprint, but it's a marathon. And along marathons, there are important milestones, and this is an important milestone along that marathon.
Deputy Vice-Chancellor Dr. Barbara Reynolds noted that a survey and the Education Awareness Project will extend beyond the coastline to ensure Guyanese from all regions are involved. The UNDP will also be contributing funds to the project. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Why when I drink a nice guy, I get smoking on? Hey, barman, y'all don't sell cigarettes anymore?
The new tobacco law says we can't have cigarettes on public display and we can't advertise that we sell it.
Okay, give me a pack.
You can't do that in here, buddy. The law states that you can't smoke in an enclosed area. You have to go outside.
I think that's how they do it in foreign. So, the law finally comes to Guyana. I'm glad though.
Let's all work together to prevent cigarette smoking-related illnesses.
Welcome back. In Region 9, an advanced team of the Brazilian Army's 6th Construction Engineering Battalion is in Lethem. The team will travel to Aishalton to set up an operating base as part of preparations to drill wells in 8 South Rupununi communities. Details in this report.
The team will start drilling artesian wells in 8 South Rupununi villages from October 4. On September 26, Minister of State Joseph Harmon led a team to the Region 9 community to conduct a reconnaissance of the roads and other facilities.
This is important to us as Guyanese because as part of our plans for the 2015 elections, we said that we will provide a good life for all Guyanese. This is part of that good life which we speak about. And it is important to these communities to ensure that they have a regular supply of potable water.
During the drilling phase, there will be technology transfer and capacity building, which will benefit several agencies, including the Guyana Defense Force, the Guyana Water Incorporated, the Hydromet Office, and villages representatives.
Whatever is left after the Brazilians leave, that they can be well maintained and they can serve the people of these communities for a very, very long time.
The project follows President David Granger's state visit to Brazil in December 2017, a complementary agreement on technical cooperation between the two governments for the implementation of the project technologies to reduce the effects of the drought in Region 9 was inked. Minister Harmon was accompanied by Director of CDC Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, GDF Engineering Corps Commander Colonel Gary Beaton, and Public Infrastructure Ministry engineers. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
The Panama rice market is not under threat. This assurance was given by the General Manager of the Guyana Rice Development Board, Nizam Hassan. In this report, Hassan also clears the air on a recent rice shipment incident making headlines.
This comes amidst claims of local rice being rejected by Trinidad, then being shipped onward to Panama. This saw the Latin American country rejecting 20 containers of rice from more than 100 after it was found that they contained the incorrect type of commodity. Guyana Rice Development Board head Nizam Hassan says there is no threat to the lucrative Panamanian market for Guyana's rice.
With regards to how does it affect, basically the buyer said, no, this is not what we want, it cannot come, so take it back and send us back our rice. We would have to replace the rice that was not received. Basically, the authorities they understand that notwithstanding it's a contract between the GRDB and the Institute of Agricultural Marketing in Panama. They know that the GRDB itself is not a producer of rice.
He explained that there is an ongoing investigation to determine whether there was a deliberate effort to deceive on the part of millers or it was a genuine operational error. Steps, he says, has been taken to minimize the chances of a reoccurrence.
Our reports thus far, the miller, in using this bagging packaging facility that he has, also bags and packages white rice and parboiled rice using the same line. We are not there when the containers are opened. We're just told, and we have some photos showing, like, look, this is what we found. It doesn't necessarily mean that an entire container has parboiled rice. It may have been a few bags, but essentially the buyer, justifiably so, is saying basically, look, white rice is ordered, and this is not white rice.
Guyana exported 540,000 tons of rice in 2017, its highest numbers since 2015, when a total of 535,000 tons was recorded. The GRDB is responsible for certifying rice being shipped to overseas markets from Guyana. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
A group of Camp Street prison inmates completed an anger management course. In our next report, Paul McAdam tells us why such courses are key to their rehabilitation process.
10 inmates completed the 5-week course and received their certificates on September 27. Officer in charge of Georgetown Prison, Camp Street, Nicholas Elliott, explained that the sessions were implemented after he perceived an increase in violence amongst inmates.
We recognize the importance of providing the inmates with some means of resolving their conflicts in a very peaceful manner. Hence, we would have decided that the anger management program was needed at this location in order to curb that type of activities.
Congratulating the participants, Officer in charge of Prisoners' Welfare and Corrections, Mariel Bristol, reminded that many are incarcerated due to poor anger management skills. She urged them not to disappoint themselves, families, or fellow inmates.
It helps to institute change by forcing you to look at things that you would have done and look at how you could have done it differently had you been privy to the information that you had, or have rather, now. And I always say this at all of the graduations that I go to. You can never control how someone is going to react to you. What you can control is how you are going to react to that situation.
Programs facilitators also included Pastor Hubert Jack, Valence St. Jean, and team leader and behavioral psychologist Will Campbell. Campbell said that recidivism is reduced by similar programs. He encouraged the inmates to find their emotive voices, be assertive without being aggressive, constructive without being destructive, and earning respect by carrying themselves with respect.
We would like every participant of this program, when that time comes, to re-enter society with a new mindset, with more patience, with greater tolerance, with an enhanced sense of self, an understanding of who you are and what you want in life.
Similar programs are on the way at other prison facilities. The anger management courses are among several other aspects of the Guyana Prison Service's rehabilitative process, undertaken to enable former inmates to contribute meaningfully to society upon their release. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
And finally, passenger boat operators were honored by the Maritime Administration Department for Best Waterways Safety Practices as Guyana observes World Maritime Day.
Speedboat operators were honored for their committed service and exemplary safety practices. Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Annette Ferguson, said it was significant given the substantial progress in the local maritime industry.
There are many noteworthy achievements made by this administration, and we would have heard in the director's remarks this morning what were some of these achievements. But to add to what she alluded to earlier, training of the first batch of maritime cadets, and I think she forgot to score the point by reminding us that we were able to train, I think it was about two first female cadet officers in the Maritime Administration. Establishment of safety centers at Charity, Bartica, and Mabaruma. Continuous training for technical personnel, ISPS compliant terminals. And I must admit that this list is by no means exhaustive.
MARAD also recognized long-serving captains. The lives lost on the waterways were also honored with the provision of tokens to the relatives of the deceased. A new logo identifying certified water taxis was also unveiled. World Maritime Day 2018 is being observed under the theme, Our Heritage, Better Shipping for a Better Future. Reporting for InfoHub, Alexis Rodney.
For updates on developments across the country, connect with us on social media and our website at dpi.gov.gy. Let's take a look at the bridge and weather reports. Goodbye.